Let's get to the punching already.
What's up, guys? This is Ronalo, back with yet another Balrog's Boxer Basic video. Sorry for the long delay on these videos. Once again, life's just gotten in the way. Getting settled into my new apartment and everything. Every day I have off has pretty much just been an errand day, so I haven't really had the time, or really the motivation, like by the time I actually do have a little bit of free time to myself, to get back into these. So today I finally have a little extra time, so I will do my best to deliver some more of these riveting lectures here. Alright, so in this video I'm going to cover V-Trigger 1, otherwise known as Crazy Rush. I don't think anybody actually calls it that though, outside of like the people in the trailer that were like showcasing it. But yeah, Crazy Rush, you know, it's basically just you do a special and you get Rekkas afterwards. It's a 3-bar V-Trigger, of course. So I mean, it takes a little longer to charge, you know, than his V-Trigger 2 because of it. In neutral, a lot of times you want to try to get good at like spacing V-skill punches, so you can just build up a little bit of meter each time. You want to be doing lots of target combos, so like if you know, if you score a standing hard kick. Oh wait, I have crush counter on. If you want to store a standing hard kick, then you want to do that to get meter, and then, you know, you can follow up with Oki and everything like that. If you don't really understand, or you're not really familiar with, like, you know, follow-ups with the V-skill punch and ways to use it in neutral, as well as like combos with it and stuff, I suggest you check one of my previous videos, my combos and bread and butters video, as well as my spacing video, and I think those are the two that I really cover it in. Oh yeah, and my Oki video as well. The first one, not the second one. I know I made a second one. Just disregard that if you're wanting to figure out what to do after V-skill punch specifically. You can do stuff like that. Now the good thing about V-Trigger 1 that it has over V-Trigger 2 is that you can cancel it from specials. So you can cancel it from dash straight. Oh, my mistake, I wasn't charging well enough. You can cancel it from dash straight, and you can actually convert it. And you can cancel it, you know, from dash low, which doing a poor job at giving an example of that. You can cancel it from tap, and of course you can cancel it from screw smash. So what this means is it basically gives you a lot more options for pressure. It gives you a lot more options for combos as well than V-Trigger 2 would. So like, what are the main reasons that you would want to use V-Trigger 1 over V-Trigger 2? Well, there's actually a lot of reasons. A lot of Balrogs prefer V-Trigger 1 in most cases. Smug used V-Trigger 2 for a good while, and it seems like he's mostly just gotten rid of that in like pro settings. I think he still does it in rank just to kind of screw around. But in actual situations, V-Trigger 2 can be really unreliable because it requires kind of a lot of reading, and it requires, you know, a lot of risks that need to be taken. Like if you whiff that command grab, you're basically screwed. It also doesn't do much damage. It only does stun, which, you know, is good in its own right. And I'll get to V-Trigger 2 in my next video. But the main reasons why you want to use it, the way I always tell people, V-Trigger 2 is best used against people who are defensive, while V-Trigger 1 is best used against people who are more offensive, people who hesitate very easily, you know, people who are just very jumpy. So this is good against, you know, typically you get your overall mindset of a character, say like Urian or, you know, Akuma. Depends on the Akuma really, but a lot of Akumas tend to be kind of, you know, they tend to mash a lot of times out of things, because they know that you're going to be respecting their EXDPs. Same thing with Camis. Just about any character with an EXDP, V-Trigger 1 actually seems to be pretty good against. any character with a 3 frame, you know, they're more likely to mash out of things than people with a 4 frame. So you have to kind of consider that too. And charge characters, you know, that's kind of a given. Charge characters hold down back. That's kind of the sweet, you know, sweet spot to be in for a charge character, because then you can instantly release it. So those people tend to block more than non-charge characters as a result. So, I mean, you can use that to your advantage with V-Trigger 1 as well, but if they're a non-charge character, like Necalli, I consider him a non-charge character because Necallis are never really charging their disc guidance, which is his dash attack. They're never really charging that unless they confirm a hit on you, so you don't have to worry too much about that with him. So that's why I'm using him as a subject today. He has an EXTP and he has a 3 frame, and he is a charge character, but only 1 charge. And it's pretty negative on block. There's no way to properly space it, really, so it's not really that good. So, kind of some upsides, as I was saying, like it gives good pressure, it gives great corner carry, great conversions. It's basically just a complete turnaround. Like V-Trigger 1, you can just instantly, you know, get into someone's face. And just like that, they're stunned. Like that sort of thing. If you can get the right momentum and get the opponent scared enough and make the right reads, then you can just keep consistently shooting, you know, Rekka after Rekka, and they're in the corner, they're stunned, they're basically dead at that point. You can come back from very low percentages as a result from this. So Balrog's V-Trigger 1 is by far the better of the 2 comeback factors. V-Trigger 2 is more if it's like a standstill and, you know, you're like halfway through the match, they have like decent health, you have decent health, and you're just basically trying to break their defenses. I think that's what a better use for V-Trigger 2 is, honestly. If a person is just a complete like wall, and you know, if you were using V-Trigger 1 against them, they would just sit there and block the whole time and let you waste your meter. So people like that, you definitely want to use V-Trigger 2. But in this case, stuff with V-Trigger 1, like I just kind of explained, the big downside is that all anybody has to do to beat it is block or you know, V-reversal. Like V-reversaling is a great way to just completely stop any pressure Balrog is doing. So I can show an example of that. So if we record Necalli's V-reversal, and we want to set him to guard all. Okay, so if I do something like this, I can't actually block after that. So first off, just any special that you do against them is not safe when they V-reversal. Secondly, if you do a Rekka, it will go through that V-reversal and it will knock you back. So that doesn't really work. Basically, all somebody needs is to waste, you know, 1 bar of V-meter, and it completely shuts you down. What they can also do is they can wait, and they can just sit there and turtle the whole time if they can read the, you know, mix-ups. And just like that, I'm negative, you know, 4 in their face. Bad situation. I just wasted all my meter and did like nothing. So, I mean, that's not like a really optimal situation, you know, when the opponent is really defensive. So that's kind of the downside of V-Trigger 1. It's actually pretty easy to combat against it. The real difficulty comes with the pressure that you can kind of simulate. So you can do something like this, and that puts them at a fair range to where you're -2, you're safe. If they press like a medium or whatever, you'll get, you know, you'll get forced to block it, but that still puts you at a safe range. You can, if you know they're the type who mashes, you can do a delayed V-skill punch, so that's a way to, you know, beat out pressure. If the person just stays there and blocks, you can, you know, do fake stuff like empty V-skills into grabs. You can do empty V-skill into low, and you can do V-skill kick, which will actually trade with 3 frames. So those are kind of the mix-ups that you can do that force somebody who is sitting there guarding the whole time to actually guess. It is pretty telegraphed is the only issue. Like, online it's a lot easier, but you know, there are people who are really good at being able to block the overhead on reaction, so they're never going to fall for it. And there's people who will mash in between. You know, the moment they see you stop like this, then they'll know that you're negative to mash. But that's basically like the big downsides. However, the upsides tend to outweigh the downsides for it. And then of course the downside obviously is that you're not going to get it until later in the match, which isn't a problem because Balrog's got decent health. He does really good damage. He can pretty much take back a match with no health. And you know, I've done this, lots of Balrogs have done this. You see lots of comeback compilations all over YouTube. If you search, you know, pretty easily you'll find a Balrog in there somewhere using V-Trigger 1. So now we're going to kind of cover ways to transition into V-Trigger 1. That's something a lot of people struggle with, I know, is figuring out kind of like how do you actually activate it and when do you activate it. So as I said before, you can cancel it after, you know, normals. Or, sorry, you can cancel it after specials. You can also cancel it after V-Skill Punch and V-Skill Kick. And for most of these, it actually leaves you very positive. So on if they're blocking, so if you're just like doing a normal bread and butter, you know, like this, that leaves you -3. But if you were to do something like this, that leaves you at +3. So what this means, I think I still have this set. Yeah, okay. So if we do something like this, that's a frame trap. And if we were to do something like, you know, if say that they're blocking all of our string and we end with this. Oh, whoops. Okay, so say we, you know, pretend we're finishing with like a standing medium kick into heavy kick. Then we can do something like that. So doing it after dash lows is very good. If they're standing, I mean you kind of have to see, but if it's something like if it's something like you're doing a crouch hard, you know, crouch hard punch into heavy kick screw smash, and you see that they're standing, then you know after heavy kick screw smash, you're actually +10. So after this, you can do a dash straight, or you can actually micro walk up into a throw. So this can cause a lot of really good pressure if you can actually get this one off. Medium punch straight is actually a auto-timed frame trap, so that's why it's really good. Yeah, I didn't think that was. Okay. EX low is also an auto-timed frame trap. I want to say one of these is too. Okay, yeah, so medium kick straight will trade. So I want to say there's something you can actually do after this, but I could be wrong. Let's see. Maybe you can't charge that long enough. I could have sworn. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's letting me. Let's actually want to test something. Okay, well, I mean, you can do something cheeky like that, but yeah, medium punch straight is going to be the way you want to go for that one. That doesn't actually give that. So yeah, you'd want to do something like that, or if you want to keep on the ground, you want to do something like that. So those are kind of good ways to transition from, you know, if you're doing a bread and butter, you want to make like a special positive. This is kind of one of your best ones ever, is doing this. Overhead. Leaves you at +8. So you can actually do standing hard kick as an auto-timed crush counter. That's 452 damage on a crush counter. Alternatively, this one you do have to manually time, but you can actually micro walk into a grab if you're point blank with it. If you're like at this distance, then there's nothing you can do on that. However, at that distance, you can actually do dash straight. So that's something to consider if you're like way back here. Then you can do something like that. Other ways to transition into V-Trigger 1, doing a crouch hard kick. That makes it plus instead of negative. And you can do a tick throw. You can do something like that. I want to say I can do this if I time it right. No, maybe not. Okay, yeah. Standing medium kick is probably the best normal to do after that. It's because you can get something like that. What else here? Oh yeah, target combos. This one is not worth. I mean, that does leave you positive if you do it that way. Leaves you +7. But if you do that, then yeah, it's not. So I mean, you can do that one. So it does kind of give you a little depth if you actually can react and see that they're doing that. Another way to transition, if you just have a sliver of V meter. So let me just simulate. We'll just, not the fastest way to do it. Okay, so say I'm like this. And let's take him off guard. So say, do I have him on crush counter? Okay, good. So say I'm like this. Then I want to do that. Then I can get something like that. And, you know, that's basically how you can keep it going. So it's basically kind of an option select in that case. You do this, and you V-trigger anyway, even if you're not sure if it's going to be enough to top it off and cancel the V-trigger. Because if it does top it off, you know, you'll get the V-trigger. If it doesn't, then you won't. Crush counters is another thing. So we'll do this little dance again here, so I can get V-trigger. Okay, so if we're in neutral, right, and I'm like fishing around for a crush counter, like that or like that, what I can actually do when I'm at this state is I can buffer a V-trigger cancel every time I do standing hard punch, so that if they guard it, I'm not, you know, I'm not V-trigger canceling, I don't have it. So that's a good option select to do on that. And then because crush countering actually gives you V meter if you weren't aware, so that's why you want to do this. So say in, you know, neutral, I'm doing whatever, I'm doing like standing light punch into a standing hard punch. This is a good fake frame trap that gets a lot of people in crush counters. So say that happens, I do that. Then I can get something like this. Now that would only be good if, you know, they had like a third of their health left or so. You know, they nerfed it pretty bad. So let's see. Actually, this is a good way to. This builds a whole half of a bar. So well, it is. stun drop there. Okay. Oh. I did that wrong, but you get the idea. Basically, excuse me. Basically, you want to do that in neutral and be pressing the V trigger button in order to get that extra bit of meter to top it off. So if I'm at like this and he blocks, you know, I won't have V trigger. But if he gets crush countered by it, and a cool thing about standing hard kick crush counter, let me turn this back up to okay, auto recover, there we go. Okay, so a good thing about this, you can actually do that. That doesn't do much damage in, you know, Season 3, but you can do something like this. Mess that up here. And, you know, get some kind of mix-up. And, you know, that's all their health. So you can kind of do stuff like that for pressure. And that's pretty much like the main ways you want to transition into V-Trigger 1. Other ways on hit is like, so like if you score a light punch straight on somebody, you know, say you're like whiff punishing, then you can score into something like that. And if you can actually react and see the counter hit, then you can actually combo light punch straight into medium punch. And you can actually cancel medium punch into crouch hard punch on counter hit. So it's pretty good damage even with the scaling. So say I'm, you know, back here and they're about to throw out a button. From that distance I can only do that. This also leaves you at +8, heavy punch straight. So if you're like doing heavy punch straight, oh whoops, I messed that up. Then you can, you know, basically follow up with pressure on that too. So these are kind of ways that you want to get in with straights. It's kind of a really good thing. Also dash lows, you know, that's a way to get in as well. Doing EX straight into V-scale punch is a good way to transition into it. That can often top you off as well with the V-scale punch, or doing that to just kind of, basically it gives you kind of a win-win option no matter what when you cancel overhead into V-trigger. So if it's on hit, then you can, you know, convert into whatever. But if it's on block, you're still plus. You can still, you know, frame trap. You can tick throw, whatever you want. So it's a really good, you know, these are kind of really good ways to do it. If you're going through a projectile, you know, then you can get right in their face and do that. So those are kind of ways to do that. So next we're kind of going to go and explain a little bit more into the Rekka physics, because I know they can always be confusing, you know, even for seasoned Balrog players. Sometimes they still don't fully understand how the Rekka physics work. So after dash straight, the opponent stays grounded. After, you know, dash low or screw smash, the opponent gets knocked down. Tap at lower levels will also, you know, keep them standing, and then tap at later levels will, you know, knock them back. I'm not going to charge tap, you know, to show it, because that would take a while. But so basically on the ones where they're standing, so basically on normal straight, you want to use punch Rekkas if you want to achieve pressure because it keeps them grounded. So it forces them to guess what you're going to do next. And that can really kind of, you know, keep that pressure going. Another thing is you want to conserve your V trigger 1 meter as much as possible. So you notice I'm only doing 1 Rekka at a time. That way I'm wasting as little meter as possible to keep pressure going. If you do something like this, you know, then you've kind of lost the damage, you've lost the pressure. You can fish for more resets that way, and that's another good way to do it if you want. But this forces them into a high-low situation that's way better. What you want to do the kick Rekkas for is for corner carry and for overall damage if you want to like finish out a match. So say like, you know, they're about to die. Oh, I messed that up. There we go. So you know, you want to finish out the match. You can do something like that. Otherwise, you would want to, you know, do something like that. After dash lows as well. That's another time you're gonna want to use kick Rekkas. For dash lows, the only reason to use punch Rekkas is to add stun. So if they're like really close to stun, then you can do 1 punch Rekka. And you can do something like that, and that builds more stun than doing the kicks. Another thing, after you do EX straight, you only want to do 1 kick Rekka if you're trying to conserve your meter. Or you can not even do any at all. And you can still get good Oki after it. So, you know, if you're not wanting to waste all your meter right away, you know, that's a good way to do it. So a combo like this. Like that wastes almost all your meter. It does 515 damage, however, really good damage. That just did, I think it was, let me look at it again here. I think it was like 400 something. 459. So this does like 60 damage less. So that's like, you know, the damage of a medium, basically. You're sacrificing the damage of a medium to keep more Rekkas in store. So it's pretty worth it if they're not, you know, anywhere close to dead yet. So if you're like coming back from full HP, I mean, if they have full HP and you have like no HP, those are the situations you kind of want to consider, is being really conservative, not just wasting it all. I know a lot of Balrogs just like to do something like this. And, you know, they basically are just mashing and then they lose all their pressure. They don't get anything after it. They're kind of unsure of what to do from there because they don't have super, you know, something like that. So yeah, those are kind of the ways you want to use your V trigger 1 Rekkas. If you can utilize them properly, then you can look like a freaking pro with it and, you know, just body people easy if you make the right reads. So, like I said, dash straight if they're standing. You can actually get up to 2 kick Rekkas off of dash straight into a V skill punch. You always want to follow, you know, kick Rekkas into V skill punch, or you can also cancel them just into a regular V skill cancel, and then, you know, do a dash up or something to get better Oki. That's also an option. But you want to do a V skill punch if you want to follow up with an EX straight. That's kind of the way to do it. So, you know, you do something like this, and then you get more damage that way. If you do something like this, then you can't, you know, you can't follow it into anything. You can do this, and that leaves you at +2 in their face. So that's a good, you know, kind of a good safe option to do to maintain pressure on hit. If you don't want to risk the high-low mix-up game where they're, you know, you're kind of chancing your turn. That's a much more respectable way to reset. And it's kind of a safer way as well. So that's kind of how straight works. With low, as I kind of said, both of them will juggle. You can actually do that into V-skill punch while they're in the air. However, you can't do 2. But you can do 2 kick Rekkas, just like with the punch. So basically, after both of these, you can do 2 kick Rekkas. After the EX low, however, you can only do 1 kick Rekka because of the way it's built. It only, you know, it doesn't let you V-skill cancel after the second kick Rekka. So you can also do a punch Rekka. After this, you can also do a kick Rekka. I don't believe you can do 2 kick Rekkas after that. Yeah, I didn't think so, because this, kind of the way it works is, this counts as a launch, so the juggle, like the juggle number kind of goes down by 1 from that because it's a launch. It's kind of weird the way it works. Also this, because they're airborne, that doesn't work. However, if they were to be able to do something like that, you could. It just doesn't let you because of the, you know, they're not high enough. So that's something to consider. This, the only thing you can actually do is this. That's the only follow-up you can do into V-skill punch after a Rekka. That's not gonna connect, you know, or anything like that. None of those are gonna work. You can do punch Rekka as well, same thing. Another thing you can do, which is pretty cool looking, you can do a punch into you know, into V-skill punch after that too. Yeah, I didn't think you could do that either. Okay. So yeah, you can't get an extra hit off of that. You can only get 1 Rekka after the screw smash ones. If you really want, there's a way to do that, but it's kind of silly, and it's really conditional. In fact, they might have actually, you might not even be able to do it anymore. With crush counters, with crouch hard punch crush counter, it's a kind of a funny launch, and I'm pretty sure they gave it an extra juggle count. I could be mistaken on that one, but it definitely seems like they did in 3.5 or 3. So basically this, you can do something like that. So what I'm doing is I'm doing this, and I'm letting the first punch Rekka go, but then I'm stopping it in its active frame. So you can do that with the punch Rekka only. You can't do that with the kick Rekka. And what that does is it delays it just a little bit longer so that you can get like a perfectly timed, you know, V-skill punch after a follow-up. So this actually works as well when they're jumping. You can do something like that to anti-air them. And a lot of actually even pro players will do this. If they see that you jump, then they will you know, V-trigger just to give an extra little buffer in their head to kind of, you know, be able to react faster to it. So it's like, oh, you did that? Then I can do something like this. Or, you know, whatever I want. And I think medium kick actually sends them too far. So yeah, you want to do light kick when you're doing that. V-trigger 1. The spacing is kind of weird though. You kind of have to get used to it, and depending on how high you hit them. So it just depends. Another thing you can do that I forgot to mention with this is you can do EX screw smash and make it safe by doing a Rekka afterward. So if they guard it, then, you know, you can make it safe. And you can actually V-skill cancel that to make a frame trap if they're going to mash. So you can get something like that off of an EX screw smash. So it's just really cool, you know, that the EX screw smash can actually lead to a frame trap with V-Trigger 1 if you time it right and if you make the right reads. Otherwise, you can just do that, and you know, a 3-frame will. So I guess you actually want to use the straight after that one if it's being blocked, because if they do a 3-frame to try to punish it, they're gonna get beat by, you know, a frame or a whiff punish. So that's kind of something you can do. So now I'm going to kind of go into high-low mix-ups. I already kind of showed it a little bit. I just didn't really explain it a whole lot. So basically, on block, both are going to be unsafe. So if we keep him like that, on block, both of these options are going to get eaten. However, you can, if you time it right, which I usually have the timing down. Not doing fast enough. It's different depending on the punch or the kick Rekka. It's better if you do the kick Rekka, it gives you a bigger window. Punch Rekka can catch people off guard more, I think, because if they know the meta, then they know that you're less likely to do a reset after a punch Rekka for that reason. That one you have to cancel a little sooner as well. This one you can delay the cancel. Like that. With the kick Rekka version, you just have to try not to do it too early. Like, there's a lot more latency than there is, you know, doing it early. So if I do it too early like that, or if I delay it like that. And the best part about this is it gives them just a second to where they hesitate, because it looks like you stop. It doesn't show the, like, it doesn't show the V-skill punch. You can delay that V-skill till the very last second and then punish them. So that's kind of one thing you can do on people who you know are going to mash, is do a delayed V-skill punch. I would suggest going into training, practicing it, you know, 10 times on both sides until you get it consistently and until you know, can actually do it, if you're actually going to learn how to do that in real situations. It does carry a lot of risk though, of course. You know, -4 can lead to a lot of things if they're playing someone like Balrog or Cammy or, you know, Akuma or a lot of people in the cast. So you're going to want to watch for that. But yeah, basically the high-low mix-ups are you do either a V-skill kick for the overhead, or you do an empty V-skill into crouch light kick. This will force them to guess either a high or a low. Now, it's not really all that, you know, honest or real in that regard, because they can mash out. On block especially, you don't want to do this too much. If they're really respecting it, then it's fine to do it on block, of course. Like, you kind of have to gauge your opponent off of that. On hit, it makes it a lot safer that you can do. So, like, if we do this. So something like that. So we're going to set the... Do I have him set to mash? No. Oh yeah, I think I was experimenting with stuff there. Okay. Yeah, none of these are what I wanted. Okay, so we're gonna... Okay, yeah. Okay, I gotta stop putting gaps in that. There we go. Okay, so he's mashing 3-frame. Now, so I don't have stun on. So basically, if they're mashing out of this, oh, I guess I don't have it. because I don't have this perfect. So you can cancel with that. More easily, you're going to be wanting to probably do this. Oh, whoops. Well, I guess I can always do something like that. So this is another thing. So see, I didn't get the timing on that right. So, against, like in a real situation, it might catch you off guard too fast. So what you can try doing instead. Whoops. Okay. I'm not doing this right. There we go. You can do that because that doesn't require you to hold charge. You can do some. You can do like light punch straight or medium punch straight or EX straight. Whoops. And yeah, I didn't set this recording right. I thought I did, but you can do something like that, which is much easier. Or you can do EX low, which is probably a better one if you have 2 bars. Yeah, this isn't working right. Come on, Nicoli. Do I need to turn on my turbo button? Okay. Let's try this again. I feel like what's happening is that Capcom is just being stupid with their input buffer, and that mashing actually sometimes overloads the buffer and, you know, inputs get dropped. I feel like that happens a lot on hit and on block. I've seen it with Ken, I've seen it with Laura, so that's my conspiracy theory. If someone actually wants to try and, you know, look into the actual data on that, you know, that'd be great. So, EX low. Damn it all. So you can do that. I'm gonna actually try one more time here. See, my reaction time is crap on this myself, so. And you know, that a really optimal punish to do off of that, if you can actually like react to it. I want to say, let me try something here. Gosh. Okay. Whoops. Cancel that too fast. I feel like you can micro walk, but maybe not. That's plus 20, okay. So if you really wanted, come on. Yeah, this is a pain to replicate in training. You can actually make that a combo. Come on. Okay, this stun's gonna go up. Okay. Okay, I don't want the entire video to just be me doing this, so. You get the idea. It leaves you at plus 20, which means you can get an F dash into like a medium kick, heavy kick target combo. Not sure why you would want to, but you know, it's an option. It's there. Moving right along, we're going to go into kind of some block string pressure. So I went into this a little bit. Basically, you can just get corner pressure this way. You know, you can get something like that, If you're like in the corner here, you do something like that. Let's assume that they blocked that second hit. Then you can still get yourself relatively out of the corner, and you're -2, so it's not like, you know, you're gonna get destroyed unless you're maybe fighting against the Zangief, who has Lariat, or not Lariat, SPD. So, however, I think if you do this, yeah. So if you do 2 Rekkas after that, that'll actually push them back. 2 punch Rekkas will push them back just enough to where you can whiff punish a light punch. So that can actually be pretty beneficial. So you can get a lot of pressure off of that. You can do it after this. That will also knock them back from low. I think just 1 is all that you need. Yeah. So the dash low Rekkas are the main ones you're going to be wanting to do on block. You're going to want to try to stick to the straights on hit and the dash lows on block, because the dash lows actually create frame traps. So if I do this, you see that hits him if he mashes. So I can do something like this. And if they guard and don't attack, then I can do something like this and make it safe. So it kind of covers both options that way. And you can kind of do that sort of thing. If they start getting respectable enough, then you can do something like that to fake them out. Or even more, you can do something like this. You know, and then you can go back into pressure that way. So you're taking risks every time you do this because they can mash out of it, but if they're respectful enough, you can kind of figure that out, you know, halfway through playing anybody, how respectful they're going to be on things. So you just have to kind of look for that and watch and try to get into your opponent's head. That's a lot of what V-Trigger 1 and V-Trigger 2 both for Balrog are about, is just getting into the opponent's head and then just completely crushing them from the inside out, knowing what they're going to, you know, most likely do in each situation, and trying to condition them to move in a certain way with the pressure. So that's kind of what you're doing with those high-low mix-ups. Like you think, okay, this is the kind of person that will block high, and then as soon as they block high, they're like, oh, I should have blocked low. So then they block low, and then they're like, oh, I should have blocked high. So then they block high. So those people are the easiest to gimmick because you can just do something like this, and then, you know, you can do something like this. Now that's the easiest mix-up to do, is just the, you know, the back and forth thing. It's kind of the bait and switch every time you're switching. They're thinking, oh, he's going to do 2 in a row, you know, so I'm going to switch it and do that. But then you never do 2 in a row. So, or you do it like 3 times in a row, and then they finally think in their head, oh, okay, he's just alternating, and then you do 2 in a row. You know, it's kind of that sort of mind game. You have to be constantly playing with your opponent. There are some people where this literally will work, because those kind of people think, oh, he's not going to do it twice in a row. This guy's, you know, a lot better than that. He's going to keep mixing it up, so I'm going to, you know, consistently block the same way because surely he's going to mix it up eventually. You know, that's kind of their mentality. So those people, it's easier to do that way, you know, or do something like this. You know, something like that. A good thing to note too, typically what I do is I kind of do, you know, quote unquote peek to see which way they block by doing V-skill low first. I don't ever open with V-skill overhead, because the reason why is because obviously it's negative, you know, 6 on block or -8 or whatever. So that's not very good to do. If I do crouching light kick on block, I'm actually +1. So I can keep pressuring, you know, if I do this. Then I can do something like that, and that plus. I can even do fake strings, you know. I can do something more like this. Or not that, sorry. You know, standing hard kick, something like that. You get the idea. So typically you want to try to use crouching light kick unless they're the type that mashes in between, you know. You kind of want to gauge that. If they are the type that mash in between, that's when I start relying on this sort of thing, where I, you know, delay the V-skill punch. That's kind of what you can figure out just from the first few times that you're using the Rekkas on block. So you're taking a risk, but you're also kind of building data for the, you know, for future rounds. So it's always good to just kind of peak with this, you know, with that mix-up first, and then go into the more risky ones if you know that the opponent is not going to block high, or if, you know, if you suspect they're going to block high, then you do the opposite and you do low anyway. It kind of covers both bases. The only base it doesn't cover, of course, is the one where they mash in between. So yeah, it's all kind of a meta head game, as I said. That's pretty much how the high-low mix-ups work. That's pretty much how the block string pressure works. As for frame traps and baiting and everything, like, you can actually bait DPs this way. So we're gonna do that. Let's see. Okay, I don't think I have EXDP set on guard, so we're gonna change that right now. Oh, whoops. I did it way too early. Oh, whoops, that was a V reversal. I pressed the wrong button. Look at me knowing how to do EXDPs. Trying to teach you guys everything. Okay. So we got the reversal flag, so that should be good. Alright, that's what I want to see. So say I'm doing something like this. So on block, that leaves me negative enough to where they can actually punish that. However, the kick one does not. So it's kind of weird the way that works. The punch one will, but the kick one will not. In fact, if you push them back that far, certain characters like Nikali, you can get some crazy good punishes that way. So let me try to do that again. So like this. Oh, whoops, messed that up. Oh, I'm messing that up. But yeah, you get the idea. You can get some crazy good damage off of that if you bait it out. Wasn't one on my meter, my bad. Yeah, you don't even have to. There we go. You don't even have to waste the other Rekka so you can get that. 590 damage. So that's basically what you have to remember. Kick Rekkas for baiting EXDPs. They're also just good in general because they can do more knockback. If it's, you know, if it's after a straight, you typically want to do the straights. You want to follow up with either a punch Rekka or a kick Rekka. It just depends on the spacing. It depends on the situation. Kick Rekkas on block though, you don't get punished by EXDPs. However, if you were to do something like this, then that's when you want to do the, you know, the thing. So basically, both of these are negative, obviously -2. Sorry. Both of these are -2, you know, on block. So that's a good way to punish if they do EXDPs. However, if you want to really sell it, you got to do the V skill cancel. So that's why you want to do something like this. And that'll give you a lot of really good, you know, punish potential. You do this. You know, 455 damage for 1 bar. I'm sold. So yeah, remember, kick Rekkas into V skill are safe. Punch Rekkas into V skill are not. So you want to kind of remember that. You can do something like this. Oh wait, no, you're right. You can't do that. Forget what I said. So you can only do this. I was being stupid. Now on hit, you can do both of them. This isn't gonna be. There's not gonna be a good way to replicate this. I'd have to just set him to mash EXDP, which won't probably not work. So on hit though, just take my word for it. You can do both punch and kick Rekkas. Well, actually no, you can only do punch Rekkas. So on hit, you can do like a punch Rekka into V skill, and on hit that will make you safe. You can also do V skill, V skill punch if you want to frame trap to the point, or not frame trap, if you just want to make it a combo, you want to do V skill punch. Okay, so another thing is kind of Oki and meaty setups. I've already covered this in my Oki meaty video, so probably not really going to go much into it, but basically this opens up more Oki because you can make stuff safe on block or plus on block. So, oh yeah, also, along with that, for Oki, if we want to set his, I think this is what it is. No? Pretty sure I have one of these in the XDP. Yeah, okay. So I can do something like this. I can do something like, oh, my bad, not that. You can kind of mix it up. Basically, the Rekkas allow you to get, right in their face for Oki, and they let you bait out EXDPs. In the same regard, if they are blocking, you can do that. You can also make it a block string to where they can't do anything about it. After that, though, I don't think you can. That's only +3. So you could do something like this. If I can do it right. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so I guess on block that time he decided he wanted to do super instead. Good old Capcom. So yeah, I apologize for the spit taking the mic there. It probably turned out really loud, but that was kind of surprising. So anyway, back on track. Oki meaty setups. Like I said, not really going to cover them, honestly. You can just look at the Oki video for that. I think I covered it in my second Oki video. Don't quote me on that, just check it out. It should say in the description right away what I'm covering in each video, so you can check that out if you want more info on what to do for Oki and everything. Yeah, I'm really only going to go into Oki on V-Trigger 2, I think, because there's a lot of stuff for that, because it's command grab. For this, it's mostly just, making things safe with the Rekkas, things that you would normally do. Trade tech is one thing, so I can go into that here. So, like, say I crush counter somebody. Oh, whoops. Then I can get something like that off. And that'll basically make it safe. In the corner, I can do the same thing after a forward throw. Normally, this would be a risk. They could punish me. But then I can make it safe with the Rekkas if they don't. And it even makes it a frame trap. So, if we set it up like this. Oh, whoops. What the heck? Yeah, oh right, I have him. I'm stupid. Okay. Alright, let's try this again. So normally that's punishable. But that's actually a frame trap. Is this a frame trap? whoops. Yeah, I didn't think so. So if you want to make it a block string, you can do punch Rekka. If you want to make it a frame trap, you do kick Rekka. Things to know. Just some, you can get some neat little things like that. After forward throw, of course, you can use something like that. And then bait them out. So basically, I kind of showed this, but I didn't really explain it. You want to do crouching medium punch after a kick or punch Rekka, depending on what the distance is. And it depends too on the special, like I showed. So it puts you at this distance to where if they mash 3 frame, which some people do instinctively because they think you're -2, so you're gonna, you're gonna try to do something quick, so they want to do something quicker. Those people will do 3 frame and beat that out. However, if I want to say, okay, no, we want, yeah, we want that. Okay, so if they do this instead, crouching medium punch, I want to say that's his 6th frame. Yeah, see, if I try to just autopilot crouch medium punch that, that's gonna get me hit, so I'm forced to respect that one. However, I want to say, I swear there was something I could do after this. Maybe not because it's a 6th frame. That's right, I'm -2. That's only if they do a 7 frame. Never mind. I can sometimes interrupt them with a light. It's not really reliable. So in those cases, you just kind of want to, you just kind of want to block it. So anti-Balrog tech out there, people, as well. If a Balrog does this, then you want to do a medium punch. You don't want to do a light. The medium punch will basically be guaranteed. He's forced to respect it. The only thing I can do that will fix that is I can do that if I read it properly. I can also do this, Oops. I can do that, which will also beat out 3 frames. So, I mean, if I really want to be, a Rashid player, I can do that, but that's basically that. So that pretty much is all I wanted to cover for V-Trigger 1. I'm sure it kind of ran a while. I apologize for that. You should all know by now that I'm not very good at collecting my thoughts. So, I hope you learned something from this video. Let me know in the comments if there's anything you want me to cover in future videos. Next video, I'm going to be covering V-Trigger 2. After that, I actually was thinking about going back to one of my previous videos and just adding a little more to it, so making kind of a part 2 sort of thing, like a little bonus video or whatever. But yeah, I also just wanted to close this by saying thanks everybody for all the support. Since I started this series, I had, I think, 50 subscribers, and now I'm up to 81 or 80, something like that. So I've pretty much gotten like over half of what I had before just from these videos. So it means a lot that you guys actually, are taking something from this, and you guys are actually subscribing to my content because you want to see more of these. So thank you very much, guys. I hope that you enjoy this. I hope that you can tolerate all of my ums. I realize I kind of have like a bit of a speech impediment with that, and I apologize. A speech person is someone I am not. But yeah, be sure to, like and comment. Let me know if you like what you see, and subscribe if you haven't, if you want to see more of these. And I will do my best to keep making them with my schedule. Thanks, guys, for watching. Have a good one.